Nope, not clickbait. Let's talk about it. So I had no plans whatsoever to make a video until the end of the week for my portfolio update, but I think this video caught a lot of us by surprise. So I want to talk about the news, and I want to talk about what I plan on doing with the stock going forward. Okay, so let's get right into it. And I know you can see that word dividend cut in there, and we are going to talk about that very soon. But before that, let's just talk about the what. So AT&T and Discovery announced today that they are going to merge their media assets. AT&T will spin off its WarnerMedia business, which includes the HBO Max streaming platform, and combine it with Discovery's domestic and international assets. Like, holy cow, I did not see that coming. Like, I thought, AT&T was doing pretty well with keeping WarnerMedia as a part of its own business. I thought AT&T was doing pretty well with that. This is a big shock to me. Okay, so we're going to use one of AT&T's slides from today just to hit the high notes. So basically, AT&T is going to spin off its WarnerMedia to merge with Discovery to form a whole new business separate from AT&T. Out of the deal, AT&T is going to receive $43 billion and a combination of different vehicles and WarnerMedia's retention of certain debt. So one of the good parts of this deal right away is that AT&T is going to offload a bunch of its debt and receive a lot of money. So we all know debt has been a pretty big problem with AT&T. So the chance to spit off that much debt from the company is a good thing in my book. Also, AT&T shareholders to receive 71% of common equity distributed via shares of stock. Now, what that means to shareholders in layman terms is that this new company, once it's formed, is going to have its own ticker symbol. We are either going to get shares of this new company's stock, or a cash dividend, or a combination of both. So WarnerMedia and Discovery pulling their resources together, like, this is a lot of content to offer to the customer. I mean, we are talking roughly $52 billion in expected revenue by 2023 and $14 billion of expected adjusted EBITDA. Like, that's pretty good. That's pretty good numbers. So from a company point of view, this sounds like a pretty good idea. I mean, AT&T, once it spins off WarnerMedia, it gets to focus solely on 5G and wireless. Whereas the new company formed by WarnerMedia and Discovery gets to focus solely on media. So both companies can, focus on their specialty, and they can both grow. So let's talk about that dividend cut. So as a result from this deal, AT&T is going to cut their dividends. Not entirely, but by a huge chunk. So AT&T's payout ratio used to be 63%. That's what it was in the previous quarter. Well, that's going to be resized to between 40 and 43% based on a new anticipated free cash flow of around $20 billion. So that will effectively exit AT&T from the Dividend Aristocrats group. So if that's something you care about, then that is a huge deal. So just to give you an estimate as to how much your dividend is going to be cut. As of right now, well, prior to this deal, AT&T paid an annual dividend of $2.08 per share with a dividend yield of 6.45%. So the dividend payout is going to drop from $15 billion to $8 billion. So if we take that ratio, we will get roughly $1.10 per year per share. Now, one thing we don't know, before I get into my opinion, is what's going to happen when we get the shares with this new company. Is the new company going to pay out dividends? That we don't know yet, and we're not going to know that until we get more of the details. So the short answer is I have a strategy, but right now I'm torn. See, so if you were into AT&T strictly for their dividends, as a lot of people are, I mean, a lot of people invest in AT&T strictly for the dividends, this is a huge slap on the wrist for you. Like, this is a huge shot in the back. Like, I mean, if you're following me and, and you write in the comments that you are selling out of AT&T right now, like you are done with AT&T after this, full respect. Like, I support your decision. I understand that. Like, no hate whatsoever. I respect that. One of the things I learned back when I was in Jeremy's private stock group is that, I mean, when the fundamentals of the business change, it might be time to sell. And I respect that. I mean, hell, even Joseph Carlson, someone who has been historically, who has historically defended his, his shares of AT&T. He admitted he sold AT&T. Now, we don't know if he sold part of it or all of it. We're going to find out in his next video if it comes out today or tomorrow. But, I mean, even Joseph Carson sold his shares of AT&T. So before I explain what I'm doing, let me tell you why I bought AT&T. And if you watched my previous AT&T videos, you already know. I did buy AT&T mostly for the dividends. That is true. But I've also been interested in their growth. Primarily in their WarnerMedia growth and also their 5G and wireless growth. The fundamentals, the reason why I invested in AT&T are changing. AT&T is slashing its dividend. Now, I'm pretty sure the dividend is going to grow from there, but AT&T is going to slash the dividend. Half of my growth theory for AT&T is being spun off into its own business. Now, to be fair, I mean, that whole business that AT&T is going to spin off into, I will presumably either own or get cash dividends for, but we're not going to know the details for that until later. Now, having said all of that, I do kind of like the move itself, now that, I've had a day to think about it. Here is Netflix's recent earnings. So, as of the end of last year, Netflix amassed roughly $25 billion in revenue. This new company that AT&T is going to form with Discovery is expected to get $53 billion in 2023. Now, we don't know the growth rate of Netflix or what it's expected to go into. We can take a look at the analyst estimates maybe. So, $34.5 billion at the end of 2022. So, if the new company is getting $53 billion in revenue by 2023, then it's going to surpass Netflix. So that is something to look forward to with the new company. And like I said, I really do like WarnerMedia, and I like its growth. So the fact that it's going to be its own company might be very, very good in the long term. And as far as HBO Max, they're expected to reach 150 million subscribers by 2025. And this is before they announced the merger with Discovery, so who knows what this is going to look like now. And looking into the wireless side of things, like, they installed 33 million new fiber locations in 2021. Like, this is a segment of the business that's growing. And AT&T did win that C-band spectrum, which means that if they grow it out, and they are growing it out, they're going to have out of the first or the second best 5G network in the country. So as far as what I'm doing with the stock, right now I own just under 144 shares. So I gotta say, I'm a little torn. Right now, I think I'm going to keep my shares and see what happens. Like, I know that, the fundamentals of the business have changed. And if you were invested in AT&T, like I said earlier, if you're invested in AT&T for dividends and, you heard this news, I fully respect it if you sell it out today. And I am kind of thinking about doing that. However, I am excited for the business, for the direction that AT&T and the new spin-off business is taking. I mean, I love AT&T and I love WarnerMedia, and I like the move that they're making. So I'm going to wait and see, wait for more details out of this, split and merger, what's going on. And once I get more details, I will make a decision. But for right now, I think I'm going to hold. But anyways, I want to know what you're doing with the stock. Whether you're buying more, whether you're holding, you're selling, along with your reasoning. Take care, have a great day, and eat your vegetables.